is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
Okay, so no theme song because I put the wrong CD in there, or it's not reading it. This is Lambda Weekly on Knon 89.3. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with not Lerone Landis. Where's Lerone today? He's somewhere.
Somewhere.
He told us, yeah.
Austin. I think he went to Austin.
Okay. I guess...
I'll pick a city. It was Austin.
Well, no theme song, and that's a terrible way for me to start. I always start with our theme song. I can't do this. Welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink, who actually last night was not late. Congratulations, Patti.
Thank you very much.
It was the third time this century that you have arrived at an event before I did.
Her watch must have been fast.
The other one was, even though her wedding didn't start this way, she was actually at her wedding before I was there. And then once at some random event that we were both arriving at, and Brian saw Patti and Aaron walking in already. He said, "There's Patti and Aaron." I said, no. The event doesn't start until 10 minutes from now, so no, that can't happen. So, anyway, our guest today is, as we call her, the inimitable.
I can't even say that.
Candy Marcum. Candy always is with us first pledge drive, and we really appreciate that because it's a more difficult show to do because we just have more going on. We have our studio audience. We have people taking. We do have a studio audience who's here, and it's actually the audience. The seating area is full. So
they've come to hear us.
They do.
That's flattering.
They do. Candy is a counselor, and we always come up with a number of topics to talk about on Candy shows. And before we do, I just do want to say the pledge drive phone number to call is 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Porsches are standing by. Well, I don't want to say operators as if there's a whole bank of operators at some anonymous phone call center, which is what you get if you call one of those other pledge drive stations. Here you call into the station and a Porsche will answer the phone. So, Portia, we really do appreciate you coming in and filling in. Usually Josh's will answer the phone here. Chris and Josh, our split personality board operator. Josh is out of the station, out of the city. He's away, isn't here.
We really can't speak English.
You know, you would think I'd be warmed up after doing the show before. But I guess it's that switching gears from a music show to a talk show that just has me today. So Candy emailed me some ideas for a show, and
we also have an audience that may ask us questions.
Yes, they might, and we'll call on
audience.
We'll call on the studio audience in a few minutes. But let me put on my glasses because Candy's emails are in very tiny type.
Really, I use 18.
Well.
Oh, it came to you.
It came to me in 2.
Isn't that funny? I use 18. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You could blow it up, David. On your end.
No.
You could enlarge it. You could, but. Or
I could just hit print.
Or you put your glasses on.
So we thought we'd talk a little bit about the election. Aaron, everybody knows, Aaron used to be a co-host on this show, and Aaron was running for District 9 City Council. And, she's in a runoff now, so we're not campaigning for her, but we want to talk a little bit about, so how do you feel that you didn't win, Patti?
Oh, I'm thrilled that we're in the runoff.
Yeah, you're in the runoff. Congratulations to Aaron.
Absolutely. That's the best outcome, really, with that many people running.
There were 4 people running, and
I thought 5.
5, actually. 5 on the ballot.
Yeah.
The one had dropped out of the race, basically.
Right. There were actually one official one dropped out. He wasn't even on the ballot. And then another guy is on the ballot, but didn't campaign. He
Suspended his
withdrew,
campaign.
He suspended his campaign.
And so it's going to be or the winner is going to be a woman, because it's 4 women running. Now it's down to 2.
And one of those.
And it's really hard to get 50% of the vote when there's that many people running.
Sure.
So it's a very exciting race.
Although Chad West and Oak Cliff did it.
Several did.
With
last
4
night.
people running.
Yeah, I mean,
soon.
sometimes you do. Sometimes you just hit it out of the park. Usually not. But yeah, Chad West did great.
And so he's our 3rd gay council person.
Out.
After Adam and Omar. Asa Woodbury down in District 4 didn't. He's 22 years old, and I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. Nice guy. I hope he keeps up and gets involved.
Because he's an intelligent young man.
I was talking to Anise Parker over at Victory Fund earlier this week, and she said, I hope he comes to one of our training sessions, because he has some good potential there. So good for him for trying it. He got good experience doing block walking and putting on a campaign. Had no money to do it, but good for him. But now Erin is in a runoff.
Right. So 33 more days.
How many
Already
votes?
counted 'em.
How many votes did she actually get? Approximate.
Over 2,200.
Okay, and so Paula, who she'll be running against, Paula Blackman, she got about 2,700,
27.
something like that. And then another 1,000 or so for the other 2 candidates. How many people live in a district in Dallas right now?
Right now, they were registered to be, last time was 89,000 per district, but that population has grown.
So it's closer to
now,
100,000.
Closer to 100,000 in each of the 14 districts in the city of Dallas.
Okay, and she got...
About half of those in say, District 9 are registered voters. About half.
Only half.
Yeah.
And a percentage of that half that is registered is pretty low, and in the runoff it'll be even lower. So it's really a tactic of get out the vote.
It is.
For the runoff.
It's going back to voters who voted in this election to come back
Do it again.
to the runoff.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
hard. It's hard to do that, but it's very, very doable. And we've got energy and so much support, and everybody does. And like around the city, there are going to be several runoffs.
That's
You call
fun.
it runs off or runoffs?
Runoffs.
I don't know. I saw the other day on
Runs
Facebook
off.
someone said posted what's the plural of Dr. Pepper? Was it Dr. Pepper or Dr. Peppers? And somebody said the plural of Dr. Pepper is diabetes.
That's a clever person.
And Dr. Pepper is not a sponsor of this show.
Right.
Okay, do you want to point that out?
We don't want to talk about that.
One of the negatives in her campaign, of course, is that we will have to refer to Erin as the Honorable Erin Moore if she does win, and I've refused to do that.
Well, it's okay.
Does that mean that she won't come on the second week of pledge drive?
Maybe, no, she won't be on next week because she's running for office. And just like Patti yesterday recused herself from being a poll person.
An election judge.
That's
The appointed
it.
election judge, but I couldn't do it.
Right. So, same thing. We have...
But you're talking about if she should win. Then
When she wins.
when she wins, she'll be on.
She'll come
Once,
after me? Okay.
once the... No. Not next week. Usually Erin
No, we're
does...
talking about
After
future
the second
pledge
election.
Oh,
drives.
future. Sure,
Yeah.
she will.
Good.
And
Call her honorable if she comes.
no.
The rest of us would.
She deserves it, David.
The Joshes and Cushes and Porsches would call her honorable.
This is...
Yeah.
See, Portia calls her honorable now.
Reason Porsche's here, it is Pledge Drive, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Give us a call because you want to keep this kind of nonsense on the air. Where else do you get nonsense like this?
Nowhere.
Lambda Weekly is the oldest, longest running LGBT show on the air anywhere. And God help us. So,
We need God's help and your help. 972-647-1893.
And what you're doing when you're pledging is you are helping keep shows like ours on the air, because what you're doing is you're actually casting a vote for the show, and the station needs to see, because we don't subscribe to arbitrons, that kind of thing. The station needs to see which shows have the support of our listeners. Right. So give us a call, 972-647-1893. For a $40 pledge, we have some new items, some anniversary items. This is the station's 35th anniversary.
Wow.
As well as Lambda Weekly's. Actually, our anniversary date was...
It's a 36th, actually.
Well, it's coming up on 36.
Coming up on 36. 35 was last year, August of 20...
Okay, so KNON's late with this. We have 35th anniversary T-shirts. Nothing like having a 35th anniversary T-shirt for your 36th anniversary, which is coming up.
Very exciting.
Buy two and add them together.
For our
the 70th.
Yeah.
You want to get in on this, folks.
Yeah.
972-647-1893.
We also have 35th anniversary coffee mugs. Those are for a $40 pledge. Give us a call, 972-647-1893. Where your money goes, because we're obviously volunteers. I would hate if this was professional.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But where your money goes on this station is to our $63,000 monthly bill. It costs $5,168, which is an increase just to lease the tower space. The phone bill, and the phone bill is mostly to get the signal from here to the tower. It's on a dedicated phone line. That's repairs. Phone bill is $2,050. Now, if you'd like to pay today's phone bill alone, just today's phone bill, $70. I complain about my phone bill, and it's half of that. But $70 a day. My bill isn't half of $70 a day.
We got to get the signal down there.
Yeah.
It's the only way to do that, unless we put a tower right on top of our building, which I don't think they want us to do. Our engineering costs, because we do have to have an engineer who actually gets the signal on the air, $3,500 a month. And our tower repairs and equipment, we just had a huge one. The thing that beams out the signal is halfway up the tower that we're on. The cable that goes up there, we bought it used when the station went on the air in 1982. It had to be replaced over the last year, so that was an expense that we ran into. By making a $116 pledge, you're paying for just today's maintenance and repair on the tower. So 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Portia is standing by waiting for your phone call. She is busy tweeting out pictures of us and other embarrassing information about us. Please call so that she'll stop doing that. I don't know what kind of things she's going to do with these pictures and after the show, but I'm sure something. We were just talking about the election a little bit. Erin, Patty's wife, is in a runoff in the June election, or the June runoff election.
And we might note that Adam Medrano and Omar Narvaez won their seats outright.
And, I do want to note that Adam won. He's been on the show many times. Omar won. He's been on the show a number of times. Eric Johnson and Scott Griggs
have both been on the show
several times.
And
Chad. Chad has not been on our show.
Oh, really?
And he won despite the Lambda Weekly bump. Now, what I was thinking was years ago when you ran for city council, you had not been on our show, and that's why you didn't win.
Oh, if I only had known.
You've been on our show many times since then. You didn't get the Lambda Weekly bump.
That's what happened.
Erin has been on our show many times.
Yeah.
Paula has not. So, I'm just predicting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bump. You're right.
Actually, there was one person who's been on our show who did not win yesterday. Laura Miller.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah. So maybe it's not 100%. Oh, and Philip's been on our show. Philip Kingston.
He's in a runoff.
He's in a runoff. So we'll see. We will see. Aaron got into the runoff with 2,000 votes out of a district of 100,000 people or so. What do you think it is that keeps people from voting?
Apathy. I also think people do not think highly of politicians. Now, I don't think of city council very politician-y, as it were, but they are. They're elected officials, and I think there's a lot of mistrust. I think there's a lot of disappointment. And, you know, it's one of those things where if you ask someone, who's your city council member, they won't know. Mm-hmm. What district do you live in? They won't know. They just may not be engaged in their community or their district or their city, and they may not know that one person can make a difference. Mm-hmm. One vote can make a difference. Going to one meeting can make a difference.
Do you know, a good example of that is Omar, who won with a very strong vote.
What district is he?
He's District 6, which is the West Dallas, the design district, and he has this little skinny sliver that goes up as far as LBJ and across LBJ.
Wow.
So it's a really diverse district. And another sliver that goes across Northwest Highway, between Northwest Highway up to Midway Road, coming from the west, up to, I think, Walnut Hill. So it's
a very gerrymandered district.
And you think there's 100,000 people in there?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, the design district has really boomed as far as...
Right. Number of people living there. And also Trinity Groves has lots of new apartments. Right. You know, a good example I was talking to him about was when there was that gas explosion in that house. That explosion actually happened in Adams District, but Omar's district was affected because they had to replace all those gas lines
and evacuate people.
And he was busy just in the neighborhood, knocking on doors himself, letting people know they're going to have to turn your gas off. Here are your alternatives. You can go to a hotel and Atmos will pay for it. You can change from gas to electric and Atmos will pay for it. Yeah, and he was going through these options with people.
And he was doing that as a city council person?
As a city council person, just going door to door to door. It does matter who your city council person is.
It's a really crazy thing in our system of government. At least, maybe it's not our system. It's our people. It's amazing how many people will turn out for a presidential election.
Mm-hmm. That's when they'll turn out.
And
if they're going to turn out.
And still, I did an analysis of the people who came out for mayor but didn't vote for council. Because if you look at the totals in those races for the same precincts, there's a big discrepancy. People came out and voted for him, didn't bother to vote for council. They're right there. They're right in front of the ballot. The ballot's in their hands. And they can mark, and they just skipped it. They skipped it because they didn't pay attention.
And that's the profile all over the United States. The down ballot folks don't get voted for, which is kind of interesting because I don't know how you get out of that voting thing without voting for everybody. I mean, you have to go through all the pages until it's like you're through. So they must just skip those pages.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's the very people that affect your everyday living. These are the people who decide, you know, when your trash gets picked up, how often, what kind of trash you can get picked up.
Loose dogs.
Exactly. Code violations that, you know, someone's got their car that's on your property or there are trees hanging over your property line and it's blocking your ability to do something. That's who you would call. You wouldn't call your president. You wouldn't call your senator.
We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about why Aaron thinks it's a good strategy to support creating more potholes in the street. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with...
Just kidding.
No. With the late Patti Fink. Our guest is Candy Marcum. Lerone will be back with us next week. And the number to call, it is Pledge Drive 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893.
Hey guys, I'm C.D. Curvin, and you're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM.
And this is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink, or soon to be possibly the late Honorable Patti Fink.
I'm already honorable, actually, because I'm a precinct chair, but
Well, poo.
She could be
I don't-
First Lady of District 9.
I haven't let it go to my head, obviously.
Yeah, that's good.
I just, they're not the kind of folks that would do that, but there are people who do. And that's too bad because it ruins it for whoever they're representing.
Yeah, one of the things, while the spots were on that we were talking about was, one of the excuses people have for not voting is, well, I don't really like any of the candidates. For mayor, there were 9 people running, and it was a diverse lot. You had to have found somebody there
Absolutely.
that you liked.
But not much. Like I said, it was 18% was the top vote getter, and then 16%, something like that. I mean, really low percentages.
Well, but percentages, when you have so many people running, it's going to be well divided. And Eric Johnson and Scott Griggs, both of them have been on our show a number of times, won and will be in the runoff. I know a lot of people were talking last night, and this was at a party that Scott was at. I like both of them. Which one am I going to vote for? I'm going to feel bad voting and that's a different type of reason. I'm going to feel bad voting for one because I didn't get to vote for the other. So
I remember Scott Griggs was our first guest when we were moved to that horrific Wednesday morning at 7 a.m.
I
He was our
remember that.
very first guest when we moved to that time slot.
Was he an elected official?
Yeah, he was on council at the time, and he came in, and I'm not kidding, his hair was went in every direction in 360.
Gotta love
and he's
radio.
like, I'm here, and thank God we're not on video.
There might have been video back then.
there were no webcams in the studio at that time yet. Yeah, so.
Yeah, he was dressed for radio.
Good for him for coming.
That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. That was hard to get guests for.
Carolyn and I came, and she slept through it, as I recall. She sat there and slept through it. What do you think, Carolyn?
And we lasted that maybe a year.
It was about a year.
And then they moved us to Saturday mornings, but not at 7 a.m.
No.
We were at 11 o'clock or something.
So, it is Pledge Drive, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Give us a call. Help keep LGBT radio on the air in North Texas. We're about it when it comes to LGBT radio in North Texas. There are a couple of other shows, one in Austin, one in Houston, and that's it for the state. So,
Are they community radio also?
Yeah. One of them's on UT's College Station, and one on the Pacifica Station down in Houston. So we've had their hosts on, and I've been on their shows, and so
that's good.
Yeah.
We have an interesting thing happening with our Pledge Drive. I'd like to maybe give a heads up to our listeners. We've moved to a computerized system where we're putting it all in, so it's a lot easier to manage for our meager staff here at the station. And they're trying to pare down our list of available premium items for your pledge. So we have some things that are going to, when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want any of these, this is the time to call. Our 35th anniversary T-shirt. I'm going to skip the 35th anniversary ladies' tee.
I skipped it worrying that you were listening before, and you were going to jump down my throat for even mentioning it. But we do have a 35th anniversary ladies' tee.
It'll be still around 5 years from now, and they'll be trying to get rid of it. Because nobody's going to buy that ladies' tee. Women don't like those ladies' tee. Just telling you.
Teresa, let's ask somebody from our studio audience, like a real person. Teresa, do you ever wear ladies' sizes, ladies' tees? Yeah, she does.
Okay, well, maybe. Streets would, yes. Okay.
Well, thank Patti for making you feel bad about it.
But there are other things too. The 35th anniversary coffee mug's going to go away when it's gone. It's gone. So first come, first serve. The Bluetooth headphones.
To speak, first come, first serve with a coffee mug.
Good.
Ooh,
Clever.
good one. Bluetooth headphones, mini umbrellas, backpacks, the canvas totes, the barbecue aprons, and the flipper water bottles. So
The black apron with the pockets?
yeah.
I've got
So
two of them.
whatever's in stock right now is what's going to It's all that's left.
And those are all for a $40 pledge, so give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. And despite other things that you've heard, Portia's very nice. She's our phone person this time. Please call her because she's just busy promoting on social media and tweeting out horrible things about us.
She is not.
972-647-1893. The other thing that you can do, if you'd like to see what the premiums are, you can go to knon.org. There are pictures, a list of items, pictures. You can choose what you want. You can pledge online. And actually, usually half of our pledges come from online. People who listen to the show after we've been on, people who listen to people who just don't want to talk to us, because I don't blame you. 972-647-1893.
They would like to talk to Portia, though.
Well, they would. They would.
But you don't have to talk to David. You can talk to Portia.
Yeah, she'll never be on the show.
The Honorable Portia
will
answer the phone. And Portia has been a guest on our show many times as well, because she's an out there activist doing all kinds of stuff.
Good for you.
Especially doing things for the senior community, and that's one thing that we've never organized about in the LGBT community before. Do you know what Educare is putting this on? And Educare has been on our show. They do trainings for mostly compassion fatigue. They are doing a drag show that is sponsored by AARP.
Really?
Oh, wow.
It is a senior
fun is
drag
that?
show. I love that. It is the first time
That's
AARP is sponsoring anything like this anywhere in the country.
And it's here in Dallas.
Here in Dallas.
Wouldn't you know?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Love it.
Anyway, give us a call, 972-647-1893. Portia is standing by. We're just talking a little bit about the election, and but more the effects of the election, or why people don't participate in the election. What do you think some of the reasons are, Candy, that people don't participate?
Well, this may be interesting to see if people agree with this or not. This is what's called phenomenological way of looking at things, which means observing. I think for the same reason people don't read the paper. I think people don't know how rewarding it is to be involved with your community or your neighborhood. It's about connecting, and I think some of the things that we have going on now, we used to blame the TV for it, though I would say I like TV. But it is about getting online and distancing yourself from people instead of coming together with people. And so I think to do that, that's where you learn about what the issues are in your neighborhood, who the people are that are running in your neighborhood that want to do something about it. It is about connecting. And I would say, what is the biggest issue for folks? I would say a sense of community, a sense of family. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I understand the importance of connecting and belonging. And I think folks think not only would their vote not be important, but maybe they're not important. Maybe it's a self-esteem issue also.
Mm-hmm. I think too there's a something at play about the time and attention it takes to be engaged. And I know for so many people, especially people who are trying to hold down 2 or 3 jobs, maybe a single mom, it's really tough to do anything kind of outside of your lane of just living and getting life done.
Yep.
And still for others, they may have a routine, and routine is so attractive. Routine is one of those things that people get in and they have a hard time getting out. I mean, when we try to motivate volunteers for just an event, if it's something that's just going to be a couple of hours, we have a better shot of having people attend than an all-day commitment.
Right.
And so it's stepping in to do that requires an effort on their part. And if they're really taxed and stressed in their everyday get through life, it's hard to create room and space and mental energy to do something different.
Yeah, I do think that's true. And if you were going to prioritize, it would be spending time with my family or going to that baseball game before I start my second shift, working somewhere. I mean, I think there are many people that are like that, but I think the profile of the best voter is an African American woman. They vote. Mm-hmm. Older people vote, maybe because they have the time, and maybe because they know as they get older that being involved in the political picture is important for yourself.
The other thing about voters, it's a habit that you get into, and it's something that's taught and passed down. Now, you always vote, right, Candy?
Always.
Did your parents always vote too?
Yes, and they always canceled out their votes, as I recall. But yes, but I don't think I was a really good voter until I got maybe in my 30s.
See, I always voted because my mother took me into the voting booth, we had those big old clunky voting booths where you pulled the lever, which closed the curtain, and then opened. I loved pulling that lever. So,
little trip to Las Vegas, maybe.
Maybe that's what it was, and I didn't even know it at the time. But it's a habit that you get into, like you were saying, Patti, about habits. Voting is just a habit. I can probably count on one hand the number of elections that I've missed. The only one I can really think of is when we voted to legalize bingo. I missed that election. But I always vote. Oh, I know another one. My mother had just died. I was registered in Albany, New York to vote, and I was downstate New York because my mother died that week. So that was the other election that I can think of that I didn't vote in. But those were big reasons.
Yeah.
So
who is the fellow that was the first openly gay state representative?
Glenn Maxey.
Glenn Maxey. Okay. Glenn Maxey
also has been on our show, got the Lambda Weekly bump and won.
Yeah.
Glenn Maxey tells a story of, and you know, he was in elected politics in late 80s, early 90s. So not that many gay people had the courage to be out and to run.
He said that, in fact, he would go to the Democratic convention stuff, and it would be him and Tammy Baldwin, usually, because they were the only two elected people.
Courageous enough to come out. Well, anyway, he tells a story about going to some group, male, Hispanic, pretty macho. And he's anxious, he says, here I'm a gay man, and I'm going to stand up and talk to these people, and what am I going to say? And he says, so he stood up there and kind of didn't know what to say, and someone stood up and said, you're for bingo. We'll vote for you. It's the bingo thing.
Yeah, I was talking to Anise Parker earlier this week, and we were just talking about
mayor of Houston,
who now runs the Gay and Lesbian Victory Fund. Well, I was saying, it seems like it's a lot easier to run now than when you did 10 years ago. And she said, tremendously.
Absolutely.
She, would have to divert, and, you'd ask her, Anise, what do you think, being a lesbian mayor how will it affect your job? And her answer would always be, I think that's a very good question, but on the south side of Houston, we have a very bad flooding problem. And as mayor, I want to take care of that flooding. She had to ask, she just switched the question. She'd acknowledge, I think some people would be interested in, and it would affect their vote, but here's what people
want to talk about. Yeah.
So now people don't have to do that. Patti, how many times was Aaron asked about being a big old dyke?
Not.
Right, exactly.
And in fact, we only saw maybe two negative comments about her being gay.
And you can live with two negative comments.
Yeah.
I mean, I say more about you every week than that.
This is true. This is very true. We have thousands of witnesses.
But again, David will not take your call. Portia will.
Right. And if you are calling to make a pledge at 972-647-1893, wait a minute, Portia's on the phone with somebody right now. So, but it hardly comes up with Chad West. who won with like 54% of the vote.
Pictures, his husband and his 2 children. It's
Well, when I was talking to a niece, I said, what is different now, especially in this election this year? She said, Pete Buttigieg. And I said, I know. Why is he getting such acceptance? She said, because he's disgustingly wholesome.
And he is.
And I went to the event the other night on Friday evening where he
now
was
there
in
were
town.
hecklers there. That was very interesting. I thought
they bought tickets.
So they paid. That's good.
Yeah, that's we.
But in Dallas, Texas, it was a little bit. I've not seen that much.
They were anti-reproductive rights for women, and they were anti-gay. They would stand. Several of them stood up when they wait for a quiet moment, and they do their stand up and start yelling. 2 of them I remember said, marriage is between one man and one woman,
right?
And they screamed it at him.
But
and Democrats ushered them out.
Pete and Chasten. There are pictures of them walking down the street holding hands, pictures of them kissing. They are the most wholesome pictures.
Wholesome is a great word.
Which I find really funny. We need to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink, who was actually on time for her wife's watch party last night. We'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after I cue them up in the machine, so I'll just keep talking a minute. Oh, I just queued something off. Okay. Oh, I just clicked them both off. Why don't you 2 talk for a second while I redo this, because I don't have my glasses on and I can't see the computer. So,
well, I have a question. How is it for you to be Aaron's wife and watch this campaign?
It's been exciting. It's been exciting, and it's been kind of interesting. And maybe it's just because we're us, but I've seen voters, especially in our neighborhood, make the connection that we're related. That she's my spouse.
Oh, good, because I thought they thought maybe sisters, and
no
way y'all could ever look like sisters.
No, it's like people who are used to seeing me behind the table at the election said, why are you inside? And I'm like, because my wife is on the ballot. Erin's your wife? Oh my God, So
that's where she probably got 10% of her votes right there.
Maybe.
I'm telling you.
But the other part of it, Candy, is how do you feel about Erin running? As if you should be jealous. No, this is my spouse. No, I don't mean that.
Carolyn, if someone said something negative about me, and back then a lot of people did, it would hurt her. And it would hurt her for me a lot more than it hurt me, because I was ready for that. But she wasn't. And I think you're more sophisticated about politics, much more than Carolyn was. But it has to impact you on some personal level. The ups and downs of the campaign. That's what I meant.
Sure, it does, but I roll off the negative comments. I've never.
And you just have to, Patti. We need to take our break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM.
Hi, this is Valletta Lil, and I listen to Lambda Weekly. I hope that you will too.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with
testing.
With the late Patti Fink, and our guest is Candy Marcum. We're making fun of my skills operating the board.
You're doing great, David. We're going to make it. We're going to make it after all.
David thinks the equipment is so old, and it is.
Well, the other thing that it could be actually is that the CD that I was trying to play, it's just not reading it anymore. It could be worn out.
Who uses CDs, right?
Until a few years ago, we used 8-tracks here to play
I remember.
To play.
That's why we need your pledges.
972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Portia is off the phone. She's waiting for the next call at 972-647-1893. One of the things that you can pledge to do is to get your name in a gold plaque here in the studio that commemorates your $1,000 pledge, 1,000 or more. It's a 15 by 7-inch gold plaque in a wood frame. It's hung in the KNON studios in perpetuity if we were to ever move again. and I hope we don't have to move for a long, long time.
But the plaque would go with us.
The plaque will go with us. We were worried about our studio. We thought the studio was going to be torn down because they were tearing down next door. Turns out they were renovating.
Isn't that pretty?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job.
That place over there is awesome.
And they're going to do that here. I guess work around us.
Very loudly, I'm sure.
Well, we're on Sunday. They won't be working on Sunday. But give us
be loud for everybody else.
Give us a call. Help keep the studio open. 972-647-1893 because our rent did go up this year. It's to pay 1 day of our rent. It's $145. So give us a call. Make a $145 pledge that pays our rent for the day.
That'd be great.
972-647-1893. Give us a call. We've been talking a little bit about the election. Yesterday, of course, was municipal election day all over Texas except for Houston. And did you hear how any of the candidates did in other cities? There was a transgender person running for the San Antonio City Council.
Did not hear.
I didn't hear about that one either. Yeah.
Were you kind of focused on something else?
Kind of focused, yeah.
On whether Erin could win despite the fact that she's against garbage collection.
Actually, she's very much for it. She would like for us to have garbage collection, just to hear her, in her kitchen. She'd really like to have it more than once a week. But,
We used to.
Yeah.
We
Candy's
did.
nodding, too.
Yeah.
It's a popular issue.
But the issue was that you could save the city money. But I'll tell you, the citizens would like to have it twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially in the summer.
But you don't want to raise your taxes, so.
Yeah. But there are other pressing issues,
Well, the environment. That's one of her focuses. And
well, because the district surrounds the lake.
Yeah.
The lake's a big issue.
Yeah.
The lake
it doesn't matter where you stood on it. The lake is a big issue.
Yes.
So she's for the lake or against it?
She's for the lake.
So she does not want to drain it?
No.
Okay.
Dredge, yes.
Clean up, yes.
But not drain.
They just dredged the lake, it seems like, or is that 20 years ago?
No, it's been 20 years ago.
It's been 20 years, so it is time for another dredging.
Oh, big time. Big time. If, right now that's not, the water's not passable to swim in, or for wildlife. And so.
But we drink it.
No. We don't. But the dog park, the dog park's right there on the north end of the lake, and those dogs, there's a section where they can run in the water, and they really shouldn't right now until we get it dredged and get it.
Yeah, it's a good issue that she's running on.
Yeah. It's big, but I would say I think it is an interesting thing. We were just talking about the people who don't vote because they don't have time to do the research, or they don't have time to get to know or get involved.
They don't feel connected.
But that's where I think neighborhood leaders and their endorsements do matter.
Yes.
Because if they trust somebody because they're a neighbor and they see them, their kids go to the same school and they see them and interact with them, and that little bit of community is enough to say, well, who would you vote for? And I want to go vote, but I haven't done my research. You have. Tell me, and I trust your opinion. And so those kinds of close relationships do matter.
Or they drive by the houses of the leaders and see what signs are in their yards.
Right.
And, first thing you want to do is sign them up to vote. That's the first thing. And the second thing that works is going door to door.
Yeah.
And
you got to go to where they are.
Uh-huh. And that
one of the
might
reasons
encourage them then to go vote, because a lot of times the voting places are in your neighborhood or near your neighborhood.
And one of the reasons I don't endorse is I'm the least trusted name on radio.
Well, that's a big reason.
And you're proud of it.
Very.
And I think another
worked hard for that.
Another reason some people don't go vote is if they haven't voted in a while and they hear, oh, well, it's turning electronic. And I remember a day when we had a ballot.
They think they won't be able to do it. They won't know how to do it. Yeah,
that they won't know how to do it.
I think that's a good point.
And they're intimidated by it.
Yes.
Because they haven't done it. And that's one thing you don't talk to your neighbor about. Like, well, what is it like, and how long does it take?
Yeah, here's a voting machine. Here's how it works, to let people see that. Because I will tell you, it is a little bit intimidating, although I vote all the time, is because you have to really push that button hard. to get it to mark. Do y'all not have that problem?
No.
Is it just me?
It's just you.
I vote on.
Oops.
I vote on election day. I did yesterday, and
I
Erin
like to
posted a
early
sign.
vote.
She said she finally voted for me, and but I actually wanted to go inside and see who was running the election because
That's your deal.
I was mine, and I didn't
Yeah.
know who was going to be doing it. But going in there on election day in Dallas County with a paper ballot, so
Oh, it was a paper ballot.
on the election day. So
Yeah, early voting is an electronic machine. What I like about that is you can vote anywhere, and I forgot
Yes.
where it
Any
was.
district. Yeah.
Is it San Antonio?
Austin.
Austin is doing anywhere voting, even on election day.
Yes.
Because you
It's
just
in the
type in your
neighborhood. Yes.
Yeah, you just type in the precinct number, and they put
And the ballots
you don't
are
have
out.
to do it. Your
Yeah, because who knows what except for you
phone.
two, who knows what their precinct number is?
Right.
I have no idea. It's a lot of numbers.
right.
like 4 or
It just comes up. It just comes up from your address, and they put the right ballot in
Right.
electronically, and it comes up, and you choose English or Spanish, and
And
then
you just have
vote.
to show your driver's license or your ID.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have
Passport.
to have your voter card. But I always like to get that little stamp on my card. Makes me feel good. And Carolyn and I like to go vote together. I mean, we're just so old, but it's something that we feel good about. That
You
we
know,
go and vote together.
I've been an election judge in my precinct now for going on 20 years. But we have several older lesbian couples in our precinct who come together.
Yes.
And
I like the way she's talking about those other older lesbian couples.
Not me.
Doesn't
Not
include
me,
her.
Carolyn. Right.
well, we're
Yeah.
not retired yet,
Oh, okay.
so and we won't be for a long time. So I'm talking about some folks who come and younger ones too come together. But it is kind of like, oh well, if you see one, you're going to see the other on election day because they come together all
Yeah,
the
it's
time.
a fun thing to do as a couple. It really is.
Yep. And straight people do that too.
You think it's fun for them too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, so yeah.
I think so. and oftentimes when I see them, they're not together. I'll go. They'll say, "Has my husband been in?" And I'm like, "No, you need to go tell him to come in here."
My parents never voted together for the reason I said. One would go one party, one would go the other.
Oh, we never have that in my family. But how did you have discussions in your home about politics, or was that a subject avoided?
Now, my father was on the school board when I was in high school, and they always voted, but I don't know if they would vote for, like, of course back then you didn't vote for judges. They would vote for the big items like president or mayor. What was the question? Oh, haven't we talked about it? Who's listening? Not me. Okay.
So in your family, your mother voted against your father for school board?
I'll tell you the one that I would say, no, she voted for him for school board. I guess. Who knows? She might not have. The race that I remember the most is John Kennedy. And my parents both were Republicans, really. But not that race. And in that race, that you may remember or maybe even recall, the concern with the American people is that the United States would be run from the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was Catholic.
Because he was Catholic, and he would have to do what the Pope says. If they only knew American Catholics and how they don't ever do what the Pope says, even back then. But at any rate, she voted for Kennedy, and he voted for Nixon. And they talked about it, and they laughed about it. But you definitely saw them voting, and the voting place was my elementary school. And so I always thought it was funny that they would make the cafeteria look like a voting place, and everybody'd go in there. But I always got a kick out of that. But I think, you're right. If you see your parents doing something, you're more apt to do it. Volunteer,
Yeah.
donate, vote.
And I think part of that is that I know what to expect. Because they were taught that at an early age. And so they know what to expect, and it's not intimidating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're talking about how does your family talk about politics. See, I have an opposite problem in my family. I'm the most conservative person in my family.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
Well, I really am.
Wow.
Scary.
It is scary.
So it's like, like during the last election, you're supporting Hillary? That kind of thing.
Instead of Bernie.
Instead of Bernie.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, well, it was not instead of Trump, it was instead
Right.
of. So.
And the other thing that you're talking about, to bring my profession back into this discussion, which is just gone.
Scarred permanently now.
Is that if you have a habit of eating together as a family, it could be breakfast, but it's usually dinner when they can all get together. That's when topics come up. Mm-hmm. That's when people talk.
That's why we call them kitchen table issues.
Exactly.
How am I going to get the yard mowed this week when I don't have time?
Mm-hmm.
And how are we going to pay our property taxes? And all those things.
Right.
So at your dinner table, do you discuss potholes?
We often do. It wasn't that long ago that Aaron came home and there was let's just say a flurry of expletives. Because there was a pothole on Mockingbird as she was coming home she said it was larger than her wheel. So she hit just the side of it, but I mean, she could have sunk in there. And there's actually every 2 years, I know who it is, but there's a persona online who runs for city council every single cycle called Mockingbird Pothole. Mm-hmm. And Mockingbird Pothole chimes in on issues.
Is that District 9?
District 9,
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it could very well be an issue, but I think she's against potholes.
She's against potholes. I thought she was for them. I thought she printed a flyer and did TV ads saying that she wants more.
More potholes.
No.
More potholes. Vote for Aaron, more potholes. This is Pledge Drive, and if you'd like more potholes, we have a big one right in the middle of our parking lot.
And boy, do we.
And if you contribute, maybe we can get a second one.
It's so big. How big is it? It is so big that it has a cone, one of those city cones.
But if you've noticed, that cone has sunk.
That is, you can only see about a third of it now.
So help us fill in our pothole. Give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Portia just picked up the phone. Thank you for giving us a call.
Calling,
thank you for supporting us during this year's Pledge Drive. Something, I don't have music to play because in between our shows. The next show just came in. We're just having a little side conversation on mic. So let's just keep talking until they're ready to go on the air.
And in fact, we have an opportunity to get a second pothole. There's a growing piece of land out here in the parking lot that looks like it wants to join the other. So we could get our second pothole. Help us invest in that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to get another cone.
Well, yeah.
See, another expense.
Yes.
But sometimes they're just on the highway. You can pick one up.
Yeah. I mean, they're all over town.
They're
all over town. Just pick one up. Give it your donation. This is the silliest show I have been on, and I've been on many of these shows.
Yes, you've been on a number of our shows.
We did have a good time.
Tell Aaron, well, I don't want to say good luck because then people say, oh, I need to vote for Paula. Not that that's a bad thing, because Paula would make she'd make a wonderful city council person as well, and she knows that we think that about her.
It's about go vote.
It is about go vote. And, and one thing I do have to say, Aaron and Paula met at the beginning of the election cycle, and they said, let's do a positive campaign, and let's talk about issues. And that's the way elections should be run.
For many years.
Yeah. She's been in city politics for a long time, so good luck to her as well.
Yeah.
Candy, thank you for being here. Thank you for suggesting such serious topics that we never did get to.
Let's save them for next time. Do you think there'll be a next time?
Who knows? If people don't call,
if we don't get money, there may not be a next time.
There won't be a next time.
And thank you, Portia. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And thanks for helping out. And hope you'll come back, and whether it's to volunteer or to be on this side of the mic and talking.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
We love you.
And for all of us here at Lambda Weekly, our guest next week, it's not Aaron.
Not Aaron.
I do remember that we have one, though. I do this every week.
Maybe
I need to
first-
write down who our guests are because the memory
have
is
to-
gone.
So
You have
after
to
you
prepare.
can
unlike
prepare
this
in
one.
advance and say, "My name is David Taffet,"
Well,
and then our guest is.
I do write that down sometimes. For all
You
of
can
us here.
say inimitable, and I can't.
Inimitable.
Inimitable.
Inimitable. For all of us here at Lambda Weekly, be best.
You're listening